Before Bangalore became the Silicon Valley of India, before the roar of engines and the glow of screens filled its nights, there was another Bangalore. A city of calm mornings where the mist rose gently over the lakes and the fragrance of wet earth mingled with the songs of cuckoos. A city where people walked beneath the shade of old banyans, where every lane led to a temple tank or a lake reflecting the sky. This was the time when cities were not built to conquer nature but to coexist with her. This was when Bangalore was truly nature's haven. Harini Nagendra's essay, When Cities Were Nature's Haven, takes us deep into the roots of Bangalore, not the concrete jungle we know today, but a living, breathing ecosystem that grew around water and trees. The author reminds us that old Bangalore was a masterpiece of sustainable design. Long before the word sustainability existed, ancient rulers, local farmers, and communities together built networks of lakes, tanks, and canals to capture the rain and store it for months. Each lake overflowed into another, forming a natural chain of life. Water never went to waste. It moved, it breathed, it lived, just like the people who depend on it. In those days, water was sacred. Wells were dug in open spaces so that anyone rich or poor could draw from them. Villagers planted peepal and neem trees beside these wells, their roots strengthening the soil and keeping the water cool. Every act of urban design had a purpose, a balance between human need and human wisdom. The city's growth wasn't an act of destruction, it was an act of understanding. Even the placement of homes, temples, and markets respected the flow of wind, light, and water. Harini Nagendra beautifully shows that for the people of early Bangalore, nature wasn't separate from culture, it was culture. Festivals were celebrated beside lakes, rituals honored trees and water as living gods, communities came together during the monsoon to clean tanks and repair bunds, not as an order from the government but as a shared duty. The city was a teacher, reminding everyone that life depends on giving back to earth what you took from it. Children grew up learning that the lake behind their home wasn't just a water body, it was a guardian. Birds, fish, and humans shared the same spaces in quiet coexistence. That is why Bangalore earned its poetic name, the city of lakes and gardens. The beauty of its nature wasn't ornamental, it was functional, spiritual, and communal. But then came the age of speed, of machines, and of ambition. The city that once grew with nature began to grow against it. As the population exploded, the demand for land swallowed everything in its path. The calm lakes were seen as empty plots waiting to be filled. Developers drained them layer by layer and turned water into real estate. Open wells were sealed, trees that had stood for centuries were cut down for roads. The intimate relationship between people and their surrounding broke down. Harini Nagendra describes how, in this modern transformation, the city lost its memory. The same lakes that once nourished the land now carry sewage. The same trees that gave shade now struggle to survive beside concrete walls. The sound of birds has been replaced by the honking of horns. The scent of jasmine has been replaced by the smoke of engines. Progress brought comfort, yes, but it also brought forgetfulness. The essay doesn't only mourn the past, it questions the present. What happens when a city forgets its ecological roots? Today, Bangalore faces severe water shortages. Its groundwater is depleting. Its air is thick with dust and fumes. Summers grow hotter each year, and the monsoon, once predictable, has become chaotic. This is the price of progress without perspective, the price of treating nature as a machine, not a mother. Harini Nagendra doesn't write with anger, she writes with sorrow and hope. She reminds us that the wisdom of the past still exists in our memory, our tradition, and our collective heart. The same lakes that are now polluted can be revived, and some already are. Local communities, students, and citizens are cleaning water bodies, planting trees, and bringing life back to forgotten spaces. The essay ends with a message that the story of Bangalore is not just one of loss, but of renewal. Nature forgives if only we listen. Nagendra's essay carries multiple layers of meaning. First, ecological intelligence of the past. The people of old Bangalore lived in harmony with the natural world. Their architecture, agriculture, and daily life were guided by ecological awareness, not by greed but by gratitude. Second, urbanization and disconnection. Modern development disconnected people from their environment. In chasing progress, the city forgot the very systems that made it livable. Lakes became garbage dumps, open spaces became malls. Third, the human nature relationship. The author shows that our relationship with nature shapes our mental, physical, and social health. When we destroy our natural spaces, we also destroy our sense of belonging and peace. Fourth, the call for reconnection. Despite the damage, Nagendra's tone is hopeful. She calls upon citizens, educators, and youth to rebuild this bond. Reviving a city is not just about technology, it's about remembering our roots. Let me conclude, students. When cities were nature's heaven is not just an essay about Bangalore, it is a mirror for every modern city. It asks a simple but powerful question: can we build cities that breathe again? Harini Nagendra's story reminds us that civilization and nature are not enemies, they are partners in survival. When a city listens to its rivers, guards its trees, and values its lakes, it thrives, not just economically but spiritually. The Bangalore she describes may belong to the past, but the spirit of that Bangalore, its harmony, its humility, its hope can still be reborn. If only we remember that the true measure of progress is now not how much we build, but how gently we live upon the earth. If this story touched your heart, take a moment to reflect. What does your city remember and what has it forgotten? Subscribe to Enlighten with Sabha for more lessons that connect literature, life, and the environment. Because stories like this remind us that learning is not just about books but about belonging. Thank you for watching.